For today's video, we're going to be looking at an updated Gardevoir decklist for Twilight Masquerade. I think the big new inclusions from this set are going to be the Unfair Stamp as a new A-Spec choice that kind of overtakes the Hero's Cape that previously was the best option for ramping our damage output, but that can come in the form of Munkidori now with that Drain a Brain ability. When we manually attach to the Munkidori, we can move 3 counters off of one of our Pokemon onto one of our opponent's Pokemon. So that becomes a new damage modifier for us, which is really nice for either like bundling into the active or maybe setting up damage onto other lower hit point Pokemon as well. Very versatile, very powerful combination that we have with the Munkidori. But that means that we also open up our A-Spec slot by not needing the Hero's Cape to push Drifloon or Screamtail so much because Munkidori can chip in. We then get to play the new Unfair Stamp, which really helps this deck because, of course, we're typically going to be the setup style approach where we're going to have a number of single prize Pokemon in the active. They're going to get KO'd in the opening stages whilst we build towards our Gardevoir pieces. And now we have a great way to slow down these aggressive archetypes with the Unfair Stamp, giving them just 2 cards to work with. We can even combine this with things like Countcatcher, then Screamtail and Cress can target other bench Pokemon. We can do some trapping plays. It's a really powerful combination in this archetype specifically because we have that bench pressure in addition to the amount of like Gust we have in the list as well. So it feels like Munkidori is a big upgrade. It's going to be really good for damage, but it's also a great way to undo some of Dragapult's damage as well, which is obviously a really important matchup to keep in mind coming into this new set. And it means we have even better defensive plays at our disposal. So overall it feels like a really harmonious deck list now where we have a lot of tech basic Pokemon. The Screamtail Cress gives us good bench protection. Cress also helps out against the Dragapult matchup. Drifloon is kind of a higher damage output option. Flutter Mane can shut down some annoying abilities and also slow down our opponent in certain situations as well. And then we just have that backbone of draw power from Kirlia and Radiant Greninja throughout the entire game. Playing just 1 copy of Rare Candy is a little bit greedy, and if we are expecting more Miraidon, you might have to bump these numbers up. But right now, with the TM evolution specifically as well, when we choose to go second, we're going to try and weave this in and get immediately into Kirlia. So against that matchup, we can at least try and threaten a turn to Gardevoir EX without the need for Rare Candy as well. So these are things that I'm bearing in mind, but overall I feel like it's a well-placed archetype. One of the better boasts right now is that it's pretty strong into the Raging Bolt Ogerpon archetype as well, and with such popularity on live right now, Gardevoir is seeming like a pretty good call going into the NAIC. So for some of those other considerations, Mimikyu is definitely an interesting extra basic we can throw into the deck list. Having that safeguard ability can be annoying, certainly for some Charizard matchups, but also it can buy us time against some of the aggressive Iron Hands style decks. Because we're already playing a couple Bravery Charm in the deck list as well, it's a much more pesky Pokemon to deal with. Rather than having that low hit points that we know a lot of decks can just reach into 70 quite easily with their non-EXs, but now they have to work a little bit harder to get through the Mimikyu, so it can be a great panic play in late game situations where you just throw active, put an Iono into the opponent's face and just hope that you can like find your win condition on a different turn, but also it can be a Pokemon that you shove early into aggressive archetypes and just try and remove some of their tempo in the opening stages. So it is a versatile inclusion in the deck list overall, especially if you're trying to have some disruptive slow turns while you're piecing stuff together. Even the 7 counters you can place on an opponent's Pokemon could then set you up for other attacks later down the line, so it's relevant in all sorts of situations. Collapse Stadium has definitely been good in Gardevoir in the past. We are quite easily going to fill up our board, and of course it's another way that we can remove our Gardevoir EX, especially if we are behind in a prize race and we have to remove our multi-prizes from play. Right now I'm just playing the one of Turo and the Pal Pad to try and have that control, but definitely higher counts of Turo is reasonable, but also you can see the Scoop Up Cyclone down here as a different A-Spec. Now, I did just rant and rave about Unfair Stamp and how it helps against the aggressive archetypes. I definitely stand by that, but Scoop Up Cyclone is an Arven searchable means of picking up your Pokemon again. Gardevoir is so often targeted as the only multi-prizer that you're going to have in play the entire game, and it's an extra like switching card if ever that's required. And of course, if you are sponging hits with Gardevoir EX, which you will look to do against certainly the likes of Dragapult, it's a great way to just have an item searchable means of picking up your Pokemon as well. Speaking of some other items we can consider just because we have this Arven package, E-Hammer is a much more searchable card compared to the Temple of Sinnoh, and Lost Vacuum could be good in mirror matches, but also getting rid of some Bravery Charms and even things like Heavy Baton, because Iron Hands is one of our worst enemies. Getting rid of those can be quite helpful at times. Even with Arven searchability, I feel like you're normally scrambling around for other cards that you're going to tutor with Arven anyway, like you're looking to find your Guardi in the first instance, so even though it is searchable, it can give you a false sense of security, and I feel like it doesn't actually come up that much. That's why it's currently not in my deck list, but I can see that it's one of those like safe cards to add into your deck list. looking at a couple different supporter options, Eerie is an interesting one. It's been in a lot of the previous Gardevoir lists, and there are still going to be these Lost Zone engines around. There are lots of candy decks in the format as well, and there's of course Control, and maybe getting rid of some of their counter catchers can be viable. So I do think Eerie is still a decent supported card to have in the deck, especially when you have your Pal Pad in there as well. It could be worth making the space for. And then just other notes in that one of the highest placing Gardevoir lists that we saw at the Champions League didn't actually play Arven whatsoever. Even though you have your tools naturally within the deck list, you'd think there'd be obvious synergy there. They actually went for an Irida package, and the upside of Irida, especially in the opening stages, is if you're going for Buddy-Buddy Poffin, you can additionally get your Manaphy for protection or your Greninja in the opening stages of the game, so it just gets even more Pokemon. It's like playing a turn 1 Bridget, basically, is kind of the idea behind that Irida. It does kind of fall off towards the mid-game. Maybe it gives you fodder just for refinements and whatnot, like when Manaphy is not that useful or whatever, so maybe it's reasonable there, but I do think TM Evolution is still one of the better plays you can formulate as a deck going second in that Irida list to sort of help you get your Kirlia online without TM Evolution. Hyper Aroma was also in the deck list, so Irida becomes a fantastic turn 1 and 2 supporter in the deck list because it can get you 3 basics and then 3 stage 1s from the Hyper Aroma from the Irida as well. So I do like that option. If you really want to lean into Irida as well, you could think about Luminion, because there is like single copies of Boss, Turo and whatnot. So it could be a card that you can just stash in hand at different points in the game with your Irida. If you're just kind of using it as a Skylar effect anyway, you may as well hold on to a fish to then have that flexibility for the following turn, which I thought was just worth mentioning. I'm personally still very much towards Team Arven, but if you're trying out that Irida engine, I think you probably have to play the Hyper Aroma to sort of make up for the fact that you don't have TM Evo, and the fish could be a pretty cool option to keep you ticking over throughout the game. Let's get into some games. If you're looking for PTCG live codes, make sure you check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using that code OmniPoke. So getting into our first game, we did have a little mulligan there, but we are getting into it now. The hand is pretty strong actually. We have some decent early game Pokemon and some search options. We're going second, so we actually have that TM Evo available, which is actually going to be really important because we're up against Miraidon. Miraidon, when they win the flip and choose to go second, is definitely one of our scariest matchups. When we are able to TM Evo, I think it's a manageable one. As you can see, they're already loading up Iron Hands as expected. Man, our hand got even better. We now have Iono for the following turn. And yet, TM Evo is in the deck. We have plenty of Kirlias, even though one's in hand, so this is going to be a really, really good start for us. We're going to end on double Kirlia with another one in hand. We're even holding on to EX plus Iono for next turn, so even if they do get the Iron Hands, which you probably do expect, it means we're going to have a really nice bounce back, probably. I think our main issues from next turn is going to be like having enough energy to respond on Iron Hands. That would be kind of my biggest fear at this stage. Let's see. Oh wow, they're going to get a second Iron Hands out already, so maybe they're looking for Baton early. They're going to attract a customer and grab Iono. Alright, it's a shame because our hand was really, really strong, but yeah, the hand is still fairly strong, so we can live with that. They have a couple generators. A couple of misses for them, actually. Okay, they eventually do get enough hits, and they're also loading up the next Iron Hands. They have Forest Seal Stone. Are they going to grab... Okay, interesting. They go for Bravery Charm instead for higher hit points. And they're going to take the first 2 prize KO. That is a big Iron Hands, 280 hit points. That's a lot to get through. That's a lot of energy that we have to bin for our Drifloon as well. We have drawn a couple energy early though, so this is nice. We at least have guaranteed Bravery Charm as well from the town store that they've given us. We're going to get Drifloon established early. Also going to get Screamtail into the mix here, just in case I need to do a trapping play instead. Let's start drawing some cards. Second Bravery Charm comes to the hand. Ooh, Counter Catcher. Now, I know it's a big Iron Hands, but I don't think I'm going to get enough energy in the bin to be able to deal with it. So I have 3 in the bin right now. I have 1 Kirlia left. So if I play this Iono, I have to find a Guardi EX and just discard 1 Psychic to get the KO. Well, there's the Psychic. No Guardi EX yet, though. This is getting a bit... Oh, boy. 1 more refinement to go. Really need to hit... Okay, we hit Ultra Ball. Nice. Ooh, we can at least respond. It's a problem because I'm letting the Iron Hands come back for another 2-prize KO, but at least I'm keeping up in a race here and not just letting them push through. So that's a pretty big deal. Obviously, we've got to retreat the Kirlia first. But yeah, this is nice. We responded pretty well thanks to good old the town store getting us Bravery Charm, and because of TM Evo, we actually have that response pretty nicely lined up. That's what I was thinking about. That said, though, they're still going to go down to 2 prizes this turn, and they have Tatsu and Greninja on board already, so they'll have some draw left over. Okay, interesting. They're going for Bundle. Definitely going to sort of call that bluff. They've already played 3 generators, so I'm pretty happy to just send up Gardy. I wonder what they were trying to... Maybe they're trying to play around... Yeah, okay. The fact that they're not taking out Drifloon means they're probably trying to keep Drifloon damaged for Lost Vacuum to finish us off, I guess. So they're still going to end up bossing. They attach to Miraidon. If they're planning to vacuum anyway, maybe attachment to Raikou was better there. Interesting. Well, we still have to get a couple more energy... Well, 1 more energy in the bin to deal with this Iron Hands. We've played a Countercatcher and Iono. We do still have Unfair Stamp. This isn't the worst position, but I am a little bit worried that they're lining up Vacuum. Like, there's no... They definitely went for... silly... Iron Bundle plays there to try and bait something else out so that they could have an easier Vacuum. We do draw into some Psych Energy, so I can fulfill that for Drifloon pretty easily. Gonna keep Psych Energy open for next turn draw power, just in case we get hand disrupted, because we're going to be going down to 2, and we're holding on to Countercatcher for game. Next turn... if they do get rid of the Bravery Charm on the active, I can still promote Gardy. So they have to... They can't just Arven for Vacuum. Maybe they need to... Well, I think they still have Prime Catcher open as well. So if they can find Vacuum Prime, we're in a lot of trouble. Obviously, Vacuum Boss is bad as well. Interesting, they're going Zapdos. Do you see a concealed cards? They also need Tit Generator. Yeah, okay, so there's a Rod. Because nothing's actually that ready. So they had Boss, but yeah, they didn't have the other piece of the combo. Let's see. We're still... actually, we're not holding on to game if they don't take a prize this turn. And because they're spreading their energy, that's probably what they're thinking. Okay. So I do need to find Boss here. We have 4 draws in 16 to Boss. Iono's still good here. If I can Iono and take out the Tatsu, I'm still feeling good. Okay, nice. We do hit the Boss, though. So, nice to get over the Iron Hand deck. Maybe they had a better way of getting around us there. The bundle boss turn was a bit weird, but... Let's get into our second game. With Gardy. Again, we've got a really nice hand. We've got Poffin Arven. That's pretty much the dream. Up against Lugia. They're going to Great Ball out a Chops, then bench a Minchino. So they're definitely on their way, I suppose, to get some stuff out. Okay. So we've prized 2 Ralts, which isn't great. But we can... was Evo there? I can't remember. Yeah, we can TM Evo. And because we are supporterless, we can take Unfair Stamp here for next turn as well. That's another cool thing about the Arven and Stamp combination, is that we're currently supporterless, but the Stamp basically acts as a supporter for us, as a hand refresh item. So this is expecting the Lugia to actually set up, which isn't always guaranteed. But with that, yeah, okay, nice. They will get the full chops value. They're going to grab another Minccino. Then they're going to summon the chops. Oh boy, there's Iron Hands. Oh, is it going to be another Hands straight in our face? I thought we were done with this. Oh, it's an even scarier Iron Hands because it's a one prizer. Yeah, they're just going to retreat out of this Lugia. Oh man. What an insane setup. What the heck? Look at that turn 2 board. That's definitely the dream Lugia start. This Iron Hands is damn scary. At least I've already started to get rid of some Psychic Energy early. This Hands, we have to deal with it, right? There's just no question. Oh, maybe I should have got rid of... maybe I should have used Refinement first before getting my first Guardi, but we can still Unfair Stamp now. I guess if I can't KO the Hands, I could maybe punch it with Guardi. Oh no, because there's a Cinccino on their bench as well already. Yeah, maybe I need to just come in with Drifloon, and if I can reach... I think that does mean I can reach now with 4 in the bin. I should be good to respond on this Hands. It's only a 1 prize KO, but it's mostly just stopping them doing what they want, right? That's important. I couldn't find Sinnoh, which is the dream, but... yeah, maybe some debate around Countercatcher with Guardi there. Countercatcher with Guardi might have been the best play, honestly. Put them at 2-card hand, just take out Chops, and say you can't reach. Yeah, looking back, maybe that was better, and just bide my time to get around this Legacy. Because now I've given them a big hand again. Yeah, maybe Countercatcher was my best play there, actually. Countercatcher with Guardi EX and Puncher Chops was probably my best line. Looking back at it now. They've gone straight into Cinccino, which means they probably have Gust. I feel like it doesn't come up otherwise. Maybe it just punches through Drifloon as well, to be fair. Yeah, I feel like that was definitely a miss from me, actually. If I just keep him at 2 and just hope Guardi EX tanks for a turn, then I have a turn to... probably just be in a better spot. They do end up going for the special roll KO on Guardi, so now they're 2 prizes away, which is pretty rough. Because now I can't really afford to deal with Chops either, really. I pretty much have to go through the active. Iono's not really doing much because they've got Gift still, so probably just Arven here. Reload some Guardi pieces for more draw because we're in a vulnerable spot. Hisuian does get a Ralts out of the prizes for me. I guess I'm holding on to Kirlia as well, so it's reasonable. It's not great though. Ah, the Sinnoh was prize. Ah, okay, so if I couldn't draw towards Sinnoh, maybe that's why I didn't go for the Countercatcher. Because I knew I basically had to go through Legacy because I just didn't have access to it. Yeah, I guess that makes a bit more sense, but... still, I think maybe just getting rid of the Chops and nullifying some of these Cinccino would have been better, even if I end up having to go through the Iron Hands as a 1 prize later. Because they're going to go down to 1 now, and then they have double Chops, and I just don't see a world where I can play around Boss. They have another Gift Energy on the active. I can Iono Countercatcher next turn, though, and, like, make them not draw, I suppose. But I also have to dodge energy, right? I need to go in with Guardi EX. and Sponge. I think the only good news is that there's double turbo on this Chinchino. So if I do take out a Chops, they do need to naturally have energy in hand from this Iono, which isn't very easy. But I'm still really just on the brink here. I need to find Guard EX here. The good news is the deck's pretty thin at this stage. Should be able to find EX. Which we do. I think it was guaranteed, actually, with the Iono into the draws. So I can Munkidori as well. Honestly, do I just shove it onto... oh no, I can't because I attached the Darkness Energy, that's right. But I'm still safe because there's double turbo on this Chinchino. So they need to have energy attachment to KO here. If not, I do have Turo, and I could go Turo and take prize, and then actually be in an okay spot. The only thing is, I'd be proccing Gift at that stage. Oh, they just had energy. Damn. Okay, well, I think I probably made a mistake that game to not go Countercatcher. Sinnoh being prized was rough as well, but it did feel like they high rolled a little bit on that last Iono turn. Let's have our last game into good old Snorlax. I try not to show much Snorlax gameplay because it can be long and boring, even when you have enough outs in your deck. And I feel like we're kind of on that precipice of having maybe enough to win games, but not always. So strap yourselves in for probably a longer one. Because, yeah, it's Snorlax after all. But I do think it's important to sort of show off this deck as well, of course. It's just not always the best viewer experience. So I don't blame you if you're piecing out at this stage. One of the keys for us is that we want our bench to be as many Ralts as possible because they all have Teleportation Burst. When we had Mirage Step, we could step our board of Kirlia and then also have Ralts like filling the remainder of the board. So it's likely they'll be able to get something into play at some point, which will be annoying for us, but we want to be able to refine away Greninjas and Manaphys at the very least, and we really want to only put like Drifloon and other useful attackers in play alongside our Ralts and Kirlias, because even though it's bad, we can at least Teleportation Burst out of Ralts, so we're going to toss away Stadium, we're going to toss away Stamp, because that's never alive here. We basically just want to dig towards EX as quickly as possible. I'm going to take the opportunity to Iono so I don't have Pal Pad in hand for them to Eri. And we'll just pass things over. Yeah, having to play around Eerie, having to play around Misfortune Sisters, Flutes, there's so many random cards they have now. Munkidori's forced into play, that's not great. It can deal 60 damage though, so if it is a trap target, we can at least attack, do some chip damage. It's really not ideal though. Let's start refining away more of these cards that are comeback cards that just won't be useful at all. Just going to throw away the Rare Candy. The only thing you have to be careful about with Refinement is that sort of trade-off of, you know, you're taking a risk of drawing into a Greninja or something along those lines. So you have to try and tread that line pretty carefully. We've initiated the prize race, so we do open up Countercatcher. Yep, straight away it's going to be Munkidori. They're going to start attacking the deck. Didn't see if they hit any items there. I think they hit something, but I don't know what. We'll have a look in a minute. We see a Refinement into an Iono. Hit some energy. I have to just pass here because there's none in the discard pile for me to embrace. So it's a free turn for them. See more Misfortune Sisters. That time it's a whiff. Then we see a Flute. Interesting, they went Misfortune before Flute because they thought it's more useful to put an extra Pokemon into play. Yeah, interesting. I suppose like Manaphy is the best case scenario for them. Or Greninja. we're just going to swing with Munkidori. It's not flashy, but it's it'll do. Oh, interesting. They didn't even play any supporter. Well, we drawn Manaphy, so we definitely refined that away. Ralts is kind of okay to put down. Yeah, seems fine. We're just going to go Ralts, yeah. So they can't get any other random Pokemon into play. The reason why we like Ralts is that it at least has Teleportation Burst. It kind of wastes a Psychic Energy, but it also wastes their Gust, and I think that is really valuable as well. They're going to just keep bouncing between their Lax, and they're going to Instant Charge. The hand's pretty big. We want to work towards Turo, right? And it feels like their hand size is big enough that I want to take a discard there. Then we can poke the Snorlax. It's still a relevant poke, actually, because next turn if I do Turo, as the... Oh, they hit the Rod from Eerie. That could be a bit annoying. Recycling Dark Energy is kind of nice. So yeah, that's a shame we lost a Rod. But seems like a decent enough Turo here, because now I can take a KO with this Guardi, even with the reduction, and I can refine away Munkidori. So that's out the way. Possibly could have poffined out a Drifloon there, because now I do fall prey to a flute hitting Greninja, I suppose. I have 11 cards in deck as well, so it's quite likely for them to hit with flute if they have it. Yeah, maybe just taking a Drifloon guarantee there was better. We've seen Erika's. Fortunately, no Pokemon there. We did just get rid of Munkidori, of course. Mimikyu comes in. I'm not too worried about Mimikyu. I guess I have not much energy scattered around. We're at least starting to take prizes, so that's something. Our deck has a lot of Pokemon at this stage. We could really get wrecked by a flute. I feel like I probably have to... Yeah, I'm going to take out the items and just get Drifloon down. We only have 7 cards in deck and no recycle. I don't know if I probably shouldn't have taken that Poffin, honestly. I should just give myself more time. Do we still have Iono in deck? I can't remember. We have Rod in deck for maybe some extra reload here. So we Pal Pad. Did put back Misfortune, which is worrying for me. They obviously looked at my hand as well last turn, so they know probably not to use Eerie here. I'm going to start bossing some Ralts. I guess they're worried that Cress or Drifloon could do some damage. We probably just have to accept the Teleportation Burst here. We're not too far away, honestly. Bit worried about them having more Counts Catchers at this stage. I don't have a Psychic in hand even. I think I have 1 left in deck for another Teleportation Burst. If they're going to try and take the next Ralts in the active. 2 for 5. 5 Psychic in play. Yeah, it's going to come down to how many more Counts Catchers they can throw at us, I suppose. Oh, interesting. They Bravery Charm Why do they Bravery Charm? Oh, they can Bravery Charm this turn because I'm forced into a Teleportation Burst, right? Yeah. So I guess they're just playing around Iono by doing it like that. Does kind of lock them into a penny next turn, but I guess they probably want to anyway. Gonna see Rod bringing back some Snorlax from them. I wonder if they're going to start picking up Rotom anytime soon. For now, it's going to be heal the Snorlax, replace the Snorlax. No Counts Catcher though, that's good. So I can just get a punch in. I'm getting a bit worried about Chi Yu as well at this stage. 4 cards left in deck. Let's see. They're going to keep pennying. Okay, interesting. They're going to go into Mimikyu. So that does feed us a prize, because I can retreat out of Guardi. But maybe they were just leaking too much damage with the Snorlax plays. Interesting. So we have to think hard about where we want to retreat into. I think it has to be Drifloon, right? Because that has the potential to scale damage even further to get through more Snorlax. Can just put the 2 on for now. And we'll be going down to 2 prizes. So we have the potential to boss Bravery Charm the Rotom for win next turn if they don't pick it up. If they do pick it up, I can still just punch the Snorlax. Pretty close now. They are going to Bravery Charm. Yeah, they're going to pick up Rotom as expected, so I can't just win next turn with Boss. It feels like they don't have any counter catchers left, though. Just on how they're playing. I also have to play around Chi-Yu this turn. So we're going to play the Rod. And we're just going to go down to 1, I guess. We're probably losing to Cress getting trapped this turn. But they've shown they haven't had counter catcher for a long time. So it might be like the 1 in 3 if it's still in the bottom of their deck. Or we're just in an okay spot. I can't really tell here. It's close though. Let's see, the Artazon fail. What can they do? Oh no, nice. They're out of Gust. I think that matchup is obviously much better if we play double Turo instead of the Pal Pad even. Because I don't think I think the Pal Pad was probably milled by the Misfortune at some point. I just didn't see it. But it's a much more secure matchup if you do have that second copy, of course. Even Scoop Up Cyclone could be better, obviously, than Unfair Stamp in that situation. So we can add more to the matchup, but I do think you at least have a fighting chance. I think it's definitely important for you to go quad Ralts. You at least want 1 Kirlia in play so that you can refine away those basics that you don't want to get hit with Flute. And yeah, they did the right thing in bulking up their Rotom, so I couldn't just deal with it with Guardi EX. But maybe I could have been more proactive that game, just using Boss proactively on the Drifloon and just loading more energy onto it. I was kind of being a bit passive with it and like using my energy to prod Snorlaxes. But I think that's kind of just how my early game played out. I don't think it was necessarily like definitely my core strat. Because I think damaging the Drifloons heavily can be really handy and quite energy efficient. If we do it the right way. But obviously, like, Munkidori got into the mix and Cress was in play and other stuff was kind of weird. But I think, yeah, probably the ideal board state is probably just double Drifloon and 4 Ralts. Maybe even Flutter Mane gets in there. Flutter Mane only does the 90, but obviously you can retreat under Snorlax. And you can place 2 counters onto their Snorlaxes as well, which then sets up your EX a bit more. So I don't think that was like a flawless execution of the matchup. I think it kind of just went our way that time. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Guardi down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for another one. Cheers.